All right, guys. So today we're going to talk about what I think is the best kept secret about Amazon selling, and that is Amazon Japan. Why is this a secret? Well, first off, I know that Amazon is the fourth biggest Amazon marketplace in the world, right? But almost nobody is selling there. Recently, I did a survey of 230 e-commerce and Amazon sellers. Which market are you currently selling in, right? 173 people said they're selling in the US, 75%, 69 people in UK, 30%, 36 people in
Wow.
Germany, 15%, only 13 people in Japan, 5.7%. Think about it. Over 230 people, only 13 selling in Japan. So you can tell it's a huge opportunity. Almost nobody is selling it. If you look at the numbers, more people selling in smaller countries. Spain 27, Italy 28, Canada 55. You go down the list, you see it's very clear. Japan is a big opportunity. Almost nobody is selling it. That's why I think it's a little ridiculous, right? I mean, it's almost like the real estate market. There's like a hot property. Maybe it's not as hot as, Tokyo, but there's a lot of growth opportunity and nobody is even looking at it. So if you want to be one of the first movers to start selling in Amazon Japan, now is a great opportunity right now in 2023. Okay. So at the same time, I know you guys have told me a lot of the challenges, I've seen in the Facebook group as well, right? The language barrier, the import process, finding an importer of record, doing all of the listings, and also, the labeling, the import requirements. I'm not going to have time to explain everything, but I'll try to address and help you solve as many of these challenges as we can today. And some people feel Japan is intimidating. So probably not Deepak. Deepak has lived here a long time, but some of the foods, like the natto, like the sticky, the little beans stuff, and some people are intimidated by like the different culture, like the crazy, the anime and those kind of guys, right? So there's a lot of differences. So talking about Japan. So today we're gonna cover why you should start selling on Amazon Japan, how big is the market, and also the 7 steps to start selling on Amazon Japan. And if you stick around till the end, I wanted to offer an opportunity to invite you to join the live Japan Mastermind in Tokyo next week. All right. Okay. So a little bit about myself. I am a veteran e-commerce seller. I've also founded an online e-commerce event called the Seven Figure Seller Summit. So we've run 8 online conferences since 2018, and we were voted the favorite Amazon conference for several years. And this will be, so that's basically my background. Okay, so some quick facts about Japan. Number one is Japan is the fourth biggest market in the world, and it's also the third largest GDP. There's 126 million people in Japan, so it's not a small market. Okay, and then some of you guys may have heard Amazon in Japan is now the #1 e-commerce site in Japan. They've overtaken Rakuten. So now they're the biggest e-commerce site. So if you sell on Amazon Japan, you'll have access to the #1 e-commerce site. Okay, that's with the most traffic. And e-commerce penetration rate in Japan is 74%. That means there's 93 million online shoppers in Japan, and then it's continuing to grow. So these are all numbers that you can see. It's very favorable for Amazon Japan. All right. And also we have proof. We have certain case studies where this is an example of one US brand that was working with a 7-figure Japan seller. This brand moved from US into Japan, and then they added 125 million Japanese yen in 13 months time from January 1st, 2022 to January 30th, 2023. And obviously every business is different. Your mileage may vary, but that is equivalent to $965,593. Okay. So there is an opportunity to make money and to sell in Japan if you do it the right way. Okay. And we'll walk you through the 7 steps in just a minute. If you look at the numbers of the competition, you can see that in the US, the number of active Amazon sellers is over 1.1 million. But Japan is all the way down at number 8 right? It's number 8, only 173,000. Not too many sellers in Japan. And with the sellers selling in Japan, the listings oftentimes, and Deepak probably knows this very well, the listings are very crude. they don't spend a lot of time, the foreign sellers don't spend a lot of time localizing with the translations. Sometimes they just leave everything in English. And sometimes, it doesn't make sense. Maybe they use Google Translate, so it doesn't, it's not a good quality translation. So the key takeaway is that the market competition is weaker, and then there's less competition in Amazon Japan. Okay. Number 4 is the reviews. You need way fewer reviews to compete in Japan. So the average review threshold in Amazon Japan is a lot lower than compared to Amazon US or Amazon EU. Okay, so one example, if you can see here with this diaper brand, Pampers, okay, you can see the global reviews, it had 70,486 in Amazon US, but in Japan, only 13 reviews. Okay, so the number of reviews that you see in Japan by the competition is a lot lower. So that means that when you come in, you have a better chance of ranking more easily because the reviews are a lot lower. Okay. Also PPC, this is the big one. Many of you guys already know that your advertising, your PPC costs are probably your second biggest cost after your inventory, right? The good thing about Japan is the PPC costs are lower than Amazon US and Amazon Europe. We're seeing in some cases average CPC as low as 29 cents per click. 29. Okay, that's like insanely low. Okay, much lower. So you could be spending less money on your marketing selling in Japan than in other marketplaces. All right. One other big advantage is you don't have to know Japanese. You don't have to, speak Japanese. To be honest, my Japanese is very, very basic. Even though I lived here 2.5 years, it's still not very good. Like I even struggle to talk to like the delivery man who called me today. Like I thought he was coming tonight at 6:30, and he ended up coming at 7:30. My wife was asking me, "Are you sure he's coming tonight? Is he coming tomorrow?" So you don't necessarily need a high Japanese level to sell in Japan because Amazon Seller Central is in English. Okay, so if you're already selling in US or EU, then you're already familiar with it. It's in English. Okay, and then for customer service, obviously you need to reply in Japanese, but what I did is I hired a part-time Japanese virtual assistant for not a lot of money, and they can help answer your questions. Okay, or if you're already playing with AI like ChatGPT can be another option to help you do customer service questions. I'm not saying that the AI is perfect, but it's pretty good. If you have any questions about that, happy to share as well. Okay. All right. Number 7 is in terms of supply chain, in terms of sourcing. Just look at the map, guys. Look at the map where Japan is and where the US is, right? If you're sourcing from China, like most people, Japan is a lot closer to China, as you can see here, than to the US. What does that mean? That means the shipping is going to be a lot faster and a lot cheaper. Okay. Average, shipping by sea from China to US could be about 30 to 45 days or even longer. To Japan, it could be as few as 7 to 10 days. Okay, so you're saving a lot of time, and that means that you don't have to place like 4 months of inventory orders like you do for US. For Japan, it could be a lot lower, maybe half that. Okay, so that can help open up your cash flow as well because you don't have to tie that much money into inventory like you do because you don't want to run out of stock. Okay, the boat's going to arrive a lot faster. And it's also going to be cheaper because it's close, right? One other thing a lot of people overlook is, shipping from China to the US, there's the duties and there's also the tariffs, right? With the trade war between US, China, the quote unquote Trump tariffs, additional 25%, right? That's something that you got to pay on top of your landed cost and top of your duty, right? For Japan, there's duties, but there's no tariff. Right, so immediately you save on that 25%. So your landing cost for the same exact product you're selling in US, it could be a lot lower in Japan. Okay, so if your mind is kind of like working out, there's all these factors in favor of selling in Japan. Okay. All right, next is another myth. Okay, you don't need to register a company in Japan or be based in Japan to sell in Japan. Okay. You can use a foreign company like a LLC, but however, one key thing is you do need a Japanese importer of record, okay, to legally import into Japan. What is an importer of record? So by Japanese law, they require you to have either a company that's registered in Japan. It does not have to be yours. Okay, a company or a person with a Japanese address to be the importer of record. So in case anything goes wrong, this person or company can be held accountable. Okay, so that's why you need an importer of record. Okay, this is very important. Everybody that sells in Japan needs this. Okay, and you also need to make sure your product is compliant to the Japanese laws and regulations. All right. Number 9 advantage is you don't need a GST to register in Japan when you first start. Okay, so unlike Europe where you have to register for VAT, which is very expensive, it takes a lot of time, and then it increases your initial capital spend, right? For Japan, when you first start, you don't need, there's no VAT. Okay, there is something called consumption tax. This is something that Japan has, but it's not required when you first start out. Once you hit a certain sales threshold, then you have to register for it. It's about $500,000 US, more or less. So when you first start out, you don't necessarily need to register for the consumption tax. So that's one less thing when you enter the market. Okay. However, do not take this as legal tax advice, guys. I am not a tax professional. Just speaking from one entrepreneur business owner to another, these are some of the advantages selling into Amazon Japan. Next, number 10 is there's also ways, marketing channel in Japan that you can use to grow your business, to get more reviews at very low cost. We don't have time to get too deep into this, but just know that the number 1 social media app in Japan is Line. It's called Line, Line, and everybody in Japan is online. If you're in the Tokyo Metro, you can see people are chatting on it. Companies have Line accounts, and these are all things that you can take advantage of when you're designing your products and your product research. Okay, so let's keep going. So now I'd like to walk you through the 7 steps to sell into Amazon Japan. All right. So number 1, the first step is, okay, this presentation originally is for sellers already selling in US or EU. And if you have an existing product, your first step is to do the product market fit analysis. Okay, what does that mean? That means that before you send your shipment into Japan, you want to do your product keyword research, right? You want to know if your product is going to have good demand in Japan. You want to find out the level of competition. And ultimately, you want to see, is this going to be a good fit for Japan or not, right? So how do you do this? There's certain tools out there that work for the Japan marketplace. Helium 10 is one of them that you can use to do product and market research, and Jungle Scout is another. Both of these tools work for Amazon Japan. Okay. If you want, I can talk a little bit about how to do this research without knowing any Japanese language. But just know that you can use these tools at your disposal. Okay. I want to share with you guys a quick tip, because Amazon Japan site, amazon.co.jp, they have a English language setting. Okay, a lot of people are not aware of it. You can actually search on Amazon Japan English, which is what I do because my Japanese is very basic. Okay, why do you want to do that? Because let's say if you're selling a water bottle, you want to see what's the demand. You want to see if your competitors are already selling in Japan. All you got to do is turn on the English setting and just type in water bottle in amazon.co.jp, and it will spit out all the listings that are in Japan. Okay, so you can do your initial market research. That way you can find out, hey, are people already selling this? Is my competitor already selling it? Or maybe nobody's selling it. Maybe it could be blue ocean opportunity, right? Okay, the third tool to use is combination Google and YouTube, because they're one company. Definitely go on Google and type your product, like, water bottle in Japan. Like, go on YouTube, like maybe I want to check out a Japanese kitchen. Right? People also, they do like a walkthrough, with their phone, like a Japanese kitchen, what it looks like. So you'll be able to see the differences without having to set foot in Japan, right? So this way you can have a quick analysis of the product market fit before you move your product in. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. If anyone has any questions, happy to share more. All right. So let's move on to step number 2, which is to check the product regulations for Japan. Okay. When it comes to importing Japan, there are some differences that you guys should be aware of. Okay. In fact, there's 4 key categories that get more scrutiny from the Japanese regulators. What do I mean by that? They pay closer attention to these categories. So if you're selling in one of these 4, then you're more likely to need more compliance testing on your product before you can import it. Okay, these 4 categories are: number 1 is supplements. Okay, number 2 is cosmetics. Number 3 is medical devices, and number 4 is any plastic product that touches food or drink. Right. So that same water bottle that we talked about, if it touches food, you got to have the compliance. Okay. So these are some of the product categories that you have to pay special attention to right now. Okay, number 3 is to be aware of the compliance and testing cost. Okay, so one of the differences in the compliance testing in Japan is the cost is determined by the size of the product and also the complexity. Okay, what do I mean complexity? Basically, the more parts you have, the more cost you will have to pay, because every single one of those parts needs to be tested. So if you're selling that water bottle, not only do you have to sell not only do you have to test the bottle, the body itself, but you also have to test the lid. You have to test like the ring. You have to test the handle and anything else that's part of that. That will add to the cost. Okay. So you may need to test separate parts of the product, which can be more expensive. Okay. One other big mistake I see a lot of sellers make when selling in Japan is they look at the competition. They see, oh, some other seller, they're selling the same water bottle. They already got the certification. So that means that I don't have to test mine. No, that's false. That's wrong. Okay. That person owns the certification for his product. You don't own it for your product. So you still have to get it tested. And then also the Japan law, the compliance testing labs are special, designated labs that can do it for Japan. Japan just does not take any laboratory. Okay, so you have to talk to the importer to find out. Let's say for my water bottle, I have to test it at this laboratory in Hong Kong, by this company, right? Maybe it's not accepted from Shenzhen, China. Okay, or this laboratory in Tokyo, for example. So you have to talk to the importer of record to tell you the compliance testing requirement. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. Let's move on. Step number 4 is on the Amazon selling side. You can transfer your trademark and your brand registry to Japan. Okay, so the benefit of this is that this can help protect your brand against hijackers. Sometimes there's people selling your product without your permission in Japan. Oftentimes they do it via drop shipping. They'll actually put up a listing of your product and your brand on Amazon Japan if you've never done it, and then they're gonna sell it for triple the price. Okay, so if they get any sales, they'll drop ship that thing, from your Amazon US or Amazon Europe store and then ship it to Japan. If you have brand registry, that will enable you to have those listings taken down, okay, without doing any test buys. That would save you a lot of time and you can knock out those competitors. The other advantage of brand registry is that it opens up brand analytics. So some of you guys know this, that brand analytics is the research tool from Amazon directly. So you can get direct keyword search volume. You can see the top competitors for your category, and you can get a lot of information direct from Amazon. But you cannot get it unless you have brand registry. So that's why I say step number 4, you want to transfer your brand registry to Japan. Okay. Step 5 is to get your translation done. Okay, so by now you've already done the product market fit, you found out the compliance tests, the regulations, and you're getting ready to sell. So to sell on Amazon Japan, obviously you need to get your listings translated to Japanese. I recommend that you work with a translator that has experience in Amazon SEO and translation. It's not enough just to find any Japanese person, because some people are not familiar with Amazon. copywriting, like the format, the keywords, right? So I recommend you find someone with that experience. So that will give you an advantage when you're creating your listings. This will increase your conversion rate. It will get you more sales. Okay, if you do it the right way. Okay, do not just use Google Translate, because Google Translate is going to translate it like word for word, but it's not going to make any sense if a Japanese person sees it. It's like, it's a loss of trust. They're just going to close that window and buy it from somewhere else. Okay. So that's number 5, get your translation done. Number 6 is localization. What do I mean by localization? This is the next step beyond just translate the listing. You need to make sure your listings are tailored to the Japanese market and culture. So this is not so easy to do. This really depends on having some knowledge about the market, and it includes everything from the product description to the imaging to even the packaging. Okay, you want to make sure it's tailored for the Japanese audience. So I'd like to share one example by this cosmetics brand, Maybelline from New York. So this is from the US. And you can see for their Amazon Japan listing, they've localized it into Japanese. So not only did they translate the text into Japanese, they used the models that are Asian, because they know like the Western concept of beauty with like tan, darker skin, is very different from the Asian standard of beauty, which is they prefer lighter, like whitened products, right? So they localize that. It's not they're just translating that, but at the same time they know that the Japanese consumer sometimes they want some English, like the English is seen as cool, or maybe it's better quality. So you can see they kept the English for part of the listing, fashion, brow, ultra fluffy, and then at the same time they translated some of that to Japanese so people can better understand that. So you can see this is an example of the type of localization that successful brands will do to sell into Amazon Japan. All right, so let's move on to number 7. Step number 7 is to get ready to sell. Okay, one of the biggest things that you can do getting ready to sell in Japan is if you have an existing product listing in the US or EU, and let's say you have several hundred reviews. If you have 500 reviews on that plastic water bottle from the US, you can actually move over those reviews, those global reviews, to Amazon Japan. So that means from day one, when you start selling in Japan, you can start off with 500 reviews. So imagine if, let's say in the US, if you have 500 reviews, maybe you're at the middle of the pack, you're maybe middle of the page or even lower in the page, because there's other sellers with like 5,000 reviews, with 10,000 reviews, right? But when you look at Japan, you could probably be near the top of the page with 500 reviews, because the other sellers, they don't have as many reviews as the US or Europe. Maybe they only have maybe like 100 reviews or 50 reviews, or some of them only have like 5. So you, from day one, with the zero sales history, you immediately will have social proof. You're building trust with Japanese customers because they want to see reviews. And then this will also help lower your PPC costs, because like when you first launch a new product, with 0 reviews, you have to either pump a lot of money to PPC or look at other launch products. For Japan, if you just move those global reviews from US to Japan, that could be enough to just get started, right? One bonus step, if this is, if the 7 steps, if all of these things make sense to you, I would love to invite you to join the 7-Figure Seller Japan Mastermind in Tokyo next week, April 4th to the 5th. This is the first ever Amazon selling conference in Japan. Nobody's ever done one before, not even in Japanese. So this one will be in English. It's going to be a 2-day in-person event. So I would love to invite you guys to come join us. And Deepak, you're coming as well.
Sure.
Yeah.
I will come definitely.
Okay, so Deepak is going to be here as well. So you can meet
I always
us.
love to talk with like 7-figure, like means like, good mindset, right? People. So it's okay. I will be there definitely.
Yes. So this will be a 2-day event happening in Japan. And as you guys know, it is the cherry blossom season right now as well. So it's the best time of year to visit Japan, besides getting all of this knowledge selling into Japan. So this event is for existing sellers. Like if you're already doing 6 figures or even more, selling at another marketplace, we talked about the reasons why you sell into Japan. So we're going to offer the complete turnkey solution to selling to Amazon Japan. We're going to share every step of the way. We're going to share the roadmap, how you can also sell up to $965,000. Just like that brand case study we shared in the beginning. We'll actually have the 7-figure seller that that's doing this right now. And then he helped oversee the exact steps how to do this. Okay. Also, there's been a lot of questions about import of records, about compliance testing, about listing localizations, about the Japanese PPC. We've invited all of these experts to be in the same room as you guys. Okay. So anytime you have a question like, okay, when I import my product, what compliance test do I use, right? Or, if I need a retail warehouse, can you help? Right? How do I save money on shipping? How do I get my listings translated? All of those people are going to be in, right? So you can just talk to that guy over there, talk to that lady right here, get their emails, get their contacts, have a drink with them, or have lunch with them. You'll have 2 full days of opportunities to network and to learn exactly how to sell onto Amazon Japan. All right. So this will be 2 full days. We also will have a lot of networking opportunities because you guys know that the power of a conference isn't just what you learn, but also who you meet, right? So, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, right? So these people are some of the top sellers in the world, okay? And also Amazon coming to this event as well. We have Amazon, Jeff Cohen. He's a Amazon tech evangelist on the Amazon tech side. He's actually flying from Seattle, Washington, US to Tokyo just to speak to you guys. Okay. We also have a number of 8-figure sellers like Bernie Thompson. His brand Pluggable in the electronics niche. He sold over 10 years on Amazon Japan. So he's going to share some of the top secrets, what he learned to his success. You'll learn about how to import successfully, compliance testing, retail media, besides Amazon. And then also we'll have a mastermind as well in the afternoon. So you can have more FaceTime, asking questions, learning from other sellers. And a lot of times, other people are, maybe a couple of steps ahead of you. They can share their experience. So, maybe learn from their mistakes as well. This event will be it's not going to be a huge event with 1,000 people. We're only expecting about 50 people. Okay. So you will have a lot of opportunity, talking to Amazon, right? Talking to like an 8-figure seller, talking to the importer. You'll have a lot of opportunity. We're also going to have a social in the evening in a Tokyo, in a park, in Ueno Park. This is one of the famous parks for the cherry blossoms. We're going to do what they call hanami. We're going to picnic in the evening after the conference on day 1, underneath all the cherry blossom trees. And we're going to have some Japanese sake, sushi, bento boxes, good food, good company. We'll have a great time. This is a unique Japan experience. If you haven't been to Japan before, or if you've never experienced it, this is like once in a lifetime opportunity to enjoy this part of the Japan culture, in addition to the business side that you'll okay. Also, we have how to make Japan ready without changing the product. Nick Katz, I think some of you guys have known him. He is one of the longest and most successful sellers in Japan. He'll be speaking on both days as well. So you'll be able to meet with Nick, ask him questions, maybe over beer, right? He'll be there. All right. There's going to be other experts like Ritu Java. He's one of the top PPC experts in the world. Some people don't know Ritu. She lived 17 years in Japan. She had a Japan permanent residency. She knows Japanese. She helped me with one of my listings with Amazon PPC to localize the listing, to get the right Japanese keywords, and really help my PPC. And she won the best speaker award at one of the biggest conferences in the US. Like, she won a lot of money, and she's coming to Japan just to be at this event as well. So I think this is a great chance. If you aren't able to attend those conferences like in America or Europe, in Asia, we're a lot closer. Right? These people are coming to you, right? There's other speakers like Bradley Sutton from TDM10. He's going to be here about keyword research, and also Brandon Young. He's going to give a workshop on keyword research as well. Brandon Young, 8-figure seller, 35 million revenue. He's coming actually to learn how to sell in Amazon Japan. So, you guys will be in great company with Deepak as well, coming to this event. So we're going to cover all A through Z selling in Japan. We're going to best time of year, cherry blossom, and then so this is the opportunity. 7-figure seller Japan Mastermind live in Tokyo next week, April 4th to the 5th. We still have some tickets available. Deepak, if you want to drop the link in the chat for people to.
Naveen asked actually, can we sell products on different countries from the same account?
Yes, that's what I mean. You can sell the same product in the US and in Japan. You can move those reviews over. So absolutely. That's my recommendation, actually.
You mean that
That's
people can make sell in USA and they can transfer that reviews in Japan also, right?
Yes.
Oh, that's very good.
That's one of the biggest things that people don't know about.
Can we source from other countries? Aisha is asking that. So
absolutely. You can source from anywhere you want. You can source from India, right? You can source from Vietnam. You can source from Japan. You can put out. I would say number one is product selection, finding a profitable product. And number two is finding a trustworthy supplier. Finding a supplier that can make great product at a great price, make sure they're on. But that's on a high level.
So next is Brandon. Yeah. He said that he asked two questions. First one is where we can find the information on regulation requirement. I mean, there are some regulations in Japan, right? So where he can get that information, he's asking.
Yeah, I know that there is one website out there. There's a government website. It's not very intuitive. I don't know if Deepak knows of that website, the Japanese government website with the regulation.
Simply you can search with like product name certification in Japan. You'll get that lots of things actually. Second, he said that how can we ensure the products meet regulation from Chinese sources?
How can the product meet regulation from Chinese sources? You have to talk to a compliance specialist. Ask them about your product and also your HS code. Okay, the HS code is the harmonized tax tariff code that is universal. So you give that information to your Japanese import of record, they will be able to find out what sort of compliance test you need. And it doesn't matter if it's coming from China, if it's coming from Vietnam, you still have to get the compliance standards tested.
Let's say, for example, in electronics, I have experience. So let's say, for example, for electronics product, we need to have like PSC certification. So if you are sourcing that electronic product, ask that supplier, hey, do you have the PSC? And first of all, check it should be in the Japanese regulation, right? So what kind of laboratories they are using for that, right? So is that laboratory is under Japanese, law? That's very important. Should we ship direct to Amazon or residence? I mean, his question is, should he directly source from factory to Amazon or factory to house? So he's asking.
Yeah, you can ship direct to Amazon. Yeah. Well, okay, wait. Japanese law, they were cracking down more on importers, and then for some time during the pandemic, they were charging the customs duty on
the sale price.
Amazon retail. Yes, on the selling price, not on the landing price. So that is insanely high. Okay, that's why you may want to ship to your residence first. This is what I did actually when I was living in Okinawa. I shipped to my residence first, and then, if they are going to charge duties, they're only going to charge on the landed cost, right? So if I'm paying $2 for the product, they only charge duty on the $2, not on the 2,000 yen, right? That I'm going to sell it for, right? So in that case, you do want to ship to your residence. That's a good question. Or you want to ship to your import of record, like third-party logistics warehouse. So you remove that chance of them charging the customs duty on the Amazon selling price.
Yes. So I was also doing the exactly same, and like importing to home first and then sending to Amazon. But the problem is, if you do that, you need to pay the twice, right? Like 2 times shipping cost. But most of the time, Amazon has partnership, so it's a free.
Yes.
When you ship locally.
That's right.
But
yes, it's a reduced cost. Yeah.
But right now, I don't do that. I directly ship from factory to Amazon. So yes, if your question is, can we ship directly to Amazon? Yes, you can ship, and that's what I do now. And I have warehouse also, so I ship there also. So his next question is, can we sell the homemade chocolates on Amazon? So please answer it.
I'm not an expert when it comes to the food. Specifically, I would talk to a professional because there could be there will be certification. I know chocolate will melt. So especially in the summer months, you have to, I know in the like there may be some Amazon restrictions
Lots
on
of
these type of
restrictions.
products. Yeah.
Mm.
So I would talk to an importer and I would check the Amazon, the fine print on chocolate.
First of all, here is my answer for this. Let's say, for example, if you want to sell chocolates, if you're a beginner, don't do that. Please understand. The reason is because you don't have the experience, and because of that, if Amazon suddenly asks you some certification food related things now, so you will be in trouble. So if you have experience, then you can do this kind of stuff. But usually, the new people, I don't recommend any product that require the certificate, including the PS. Understand that electronics. So
What kind of products are beginner friendly in general? I think outdoor products, one of my products is like an outdoor toy product. I found the idea when I was playing with my son outside. So, those type of products, possibly, like pet products. Yeah, but, do the keyword research, guys. We showed you some of the tools
that's
out there.
important.
Yeah.
So can we, as I said that, what is that? Can we sell perfume in Japan market? Perfume.
I'm not sure. I'm not an importer of record. I've never done it. I would speak to the importer just to find out. There are many differences, like fine print. One example is one of the products I sell in the US is a kitchen product. It's coffee related product. It's fine to sell in the US, but I was about to import it in Japan. I talked to the importer. They told me that this product is illegal to use in the home kitchen. You can only use it in a professional kitchen. Okay. Right. So that's why I cannot give you the specific legal advice for every product. You should talk to an importer just to find out your specific product and give them the HS code. That way they can do a thorough check for you. That would be my recommendation.
Okay. Mudassir is asking, what do you suggest for the beginners to start in electronics or in other categories?
Electronics could be more difficult because there's more moving parts and there's more compliance testing. It could be more expensive. So if you do have the budget or if you have experience in electronics, then you could do it. But if you don't, I would look at the more simple products because the competition level, as we thought, is lower in Japan. You don't necessarily have to niche down to such a small sub niche like we do in the US, right? Look at the bigger categories. There could be opportunities. So.
Okay, and Japanese reviews on perfume product. I don't understand the question. What is meant by that? Japanese reviews on perfume product. I think her question was, can we sell perfume? See, look at that. Here's my thought on that. Like perfume means like don't sell that product which is goes on the body or inside the body. For example, like perfume, if there is any side effect or maybe any cream or beauty product, that kind of. Go with simple, those doesn't require the.
Go with simple. But if let's say you have a family business in perfume, I don't know. If you have some advantage in perfume, if that's why you're asking, then talk to an importer, right? Ask them, what do I need to import a perfume into Japan? Like, how much is this testing going to cost me? Are we talking about like $1,000? Are we talking $10,000? Right? If it's too expensive, then you probably don't want to do it. But maybe if it's affordable, if it's not that complicated, then hey, if you get the compliance testing, you get it done, then you can sell. But the competition, they never got it, so they're not selling, right? So think of it that way.
Okay. With keyword research in mind, what are your few green flags or for the good product? I mean, he's asking like, what are the green flag for the good product? What is meant by good product? He's asking. How can he?
Yeah, I look. So if I use helium 10, I'll look at the product category. So let's say, for example, the water bottle, for example. Okay, I'll look at the water bottle. I'll do a keyword search for water bottle in English first, and then I'll look at the top competitors, right? And then I'll do a reverse ASIN search in for that Japanese ASIN in helium 10, and then it will tell me the keywords that it's ranking for, right? I'll look at those keywords, the Japanese keywords. If you don't speak Japanese, here's a quick hack. Okay, if you use Google Sheets, you can copy and paste the keywords, the Japanese keywords into one column, and then to the right, you can put another column with the Google Translate formula. So you can Google Translate from Japanese to English. So on the column A will be the Japanese keyword, and then column B will be in English, and it takes like 3 seconds. and just translate the whole thing. Okay, that way you can have an idea. Okay, this is water bottle. Maybe this is like, I don't like glass bottle, or this is like baby bottle. That's not relevant. So then you drill down to the ones that are relevant, and then you do the same thing as you would do for the US market, right? Then you use that keyword, you search in Amazon Japan, you look at the competition, you look at the search volume, you look at the sales, look at the reviews, right? And then make a judgment call, whether you feel this is a good opportunity. The reviews will be a lot lower. So you might be surprised. There's a lot more opportunities in Japan. It's not as saturated as it is in the US. So that would be my recommendation. Deepak.
So how much money we need to start this Amazon FBA business? Guys, do you have this question? Please answer. Yes, if you have this question.
I'll share for the product I launched in Japan. This product, the factory cost was only about like $2, like 60 cents to $3 US from China. And then I was able to sell it for about 2,000 yen, about 2,100 yen.
You mean landing cost is $4 or the suppliers means like cost?
The FOB cost was about $2-3. Landed cost was about $4 or $5. Okay, so like the first order, I was able to negotiate a smaller order. I placed an order for about, I think, 250 units. So I mean, the first order, it was only, it was a couple of $1,000 US. Yes. And I shipped it by air too, because this was a lightweight product. I shipped it by air. So at that time, and then I invested in PPC. So I would say, it was no more than $4,000 to $5,000 US for this product.
Okay.
This was on the low end. But for my US product, I sell another kitchen product. The FOB cost is like $10, $11. And then after the landed cost, it's like $15, $16. And then, I sell it for like 30 something dollars, but the profit isn't that good, right? So it really depends. If you can find a product that's lightweight, that's small, then it can be a smaller investment. But you don't necessarily need to invest like $20,000. If I do not invest $20,000, that's too much.
I would try to keep it. $20,000.
Yeah, most people don't have $20,000. If you look at opportunities, like about $3,000 to $5,000, it's still feasible. You can still do this now in Japan.
But if you are new and you have $20,000, please guys do not invest that, because you don't have experience. Get the experience with a simple product. Brandon said that it's always depends on the product. That's the answer, because everybody says that if you ask how much the money you need, everybody says that it depends on the product, and that's actually right, because it depends on the product cost, right? So usually I said that you should have. I started in 2017 with like Nijuman, means that $2,000. Okay.
Yeah.
But I ordered 200 units and I started with that, and then I reinvested my profit, and then now I increased my sales to like $300,000 or something like that. So it's always start with like $2,000, $3,000, and I think if you don't have that, then it's really hard to scale your business. If you like order 10 units, 15 units, or do wholesale retail arbitrage, that's not a private label business, I think, right?
So
if you are a foreigner in Japan, which market for you has more challenges to sell as a beginner? Amazon USA, US, or Japan?
If you're a foreigner in Japan, I assume you are familiar with Japan already, and you probably know some Japanese. So you will have an advantage selling in Japan. And then you can even ship to yourself, like what I did. So you have like 3 advantages already. If I were you, I would test Japan first, then US. I know some sellers, they only sell in Japan. Like Deepak, right? And Nick Cat, he only sells in Japan and Europe. He doesn't sell in
if you are living in Japan, then start with Japan. Where if you are living in USA, start with USA. If you are in India, start with India. Reason is because you are there, so you know better than other, right? In Japan, if you are living, so it's also easy. You can act as an import of record also. By the way, many people don't know this. They always look for the company. But if you are living in Japan, you can act as an import of record. Many people don't know this.
Yeah, actually. That's what I did. That's what I did.
If you're in Japan, you don't have any problem. Actually, if you guys are interested, link I have already there, pasted there. You can join and come to Summit also if you're interested. If not, this is my first time actually live I'm doing with you. This is my first time in 6 years. So I'm super
Wow.
happy to do that again. Someone asked me, please do this question answer session next time, and I will definitely do in Hindi or English language. No problem, guys. You can join, and I will promote that. You can join free of cost, and we'll talk more about Amazon FBA business because I'm doing since 2017. You can ask anything, I can answer.